Well, I could have made this video this morning. I got to the barn. It was, now remember, I did not have a good night last night. And the rain, now it wasn't raining. I missed most of the rain. The track wasn't as bad, but it was cold all night. And to wear a mud suit, which is virtually just a rubber suit, right? Rain gear. And except it was cold. The wind was just, nothing's worse than 0 degrees, 30, 32. Little dampness in the air, throw in a little northeast wind. That's nasty. You can dress for the cold, you can dress for the heat. It is very difficult to dress for that weather. It just doesn't seem to matter what you put on. The wind just blows right through you. So I get up this morning. Didn't get the snow. I guess they got pounded in Ontario with snow. We didn't get that snow. Rain off and on all night. Turned to freezing rain overnight, but then thawed a little bit. It wasn't as bad as it looked like it was going to be on the weather. Now, our horses didn't know that. They raced terrible all last night. It's not like I did them any favors. Ran over a wheel with Century Legion. Oh, we talked about that yesterday. I put Mounts for All in the run. Made a break under my watch. And Cadeau wasn't great. Just felt like the track was deep. And I know it was deep because Memory Imagination 59 was all he could handle. And he was actually good. It's not like, he was rough in the turns. He didn't get off the gate. He was good. Mechanically, I was very happy with him. He just didn't race good. So I got up this morning. It was cold. I wasn't jogging anything. Everybody was on the back track jogging. I pulled up and watched a couple of them jog, and then I had to go to the Meadows to race Looks Like Money. We did a video. You know how that went. It worked out very, very well. You got to shake it off, right? Get up the next day and get ready for battle again. And certainly wins help. So interested to see how everybody races tonight. But this video is about everybody in the burn. So the way that the site breaks it down is alphabetically ages 2 and up, and then alphabetical A through Z for 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. So we're going to start with AC/DC. He made a break on Joey the other day training. Just looked like he was being a little goofy, just playing around. He wasn't playing around next because he went again. I went out and trained him in 238. We've been around 240, 241 with everybody pretty consistently, and we're going to hang out there between 232 and 242, I would suspect, until into March. So AC/DC 238, he was good. After that, I was happy with him. He just had a little firm hand. He had to know that it was time to work, not time to goof off. And once I put him in gear, he was fine. He stayed in gear and he was well. He did his work well. Aunt Sarah has been a machine, as Tyler likes to call her. She's been a machine the last little while and has just trained awesome and has been training awesome for a while now. Blue Rare, I've said this time and time again, in my personal estimation, she's amongst the top of the class. From week to week, she might slide a bit, she might look sharp as a tack, but she's amongst the top of the class in my estimation. I know that Amy went with her and she was acting up and jumping around. I come in, let her head down. She doesn't like her head. Just let her head down, put a set of bell boots on her for a little stability, went out, and she mopped them the other day and looks like a very good horse. I was thoroughly pleased with her. Capistrano Knights, who made a shoeing change after the other day. Listen, we went through this with Gorgeous Package. Almost very exactly the same. When you look at their gait, Gorgeous Package made some breaks, acted up, looked at stuff, jumped over stuff, just did things not correctly until she didn't anymore. And that's exactly the same trajectory we're likely going to see with Capistrano Knights. So I'm not overly concerned at all with Capistrano Knights or any of the breaks. Captain Doolittle had somebody message me and say, hey, Anthony, you got rid of Cheers to Beers and Tavion Hanover because. And Captain Doolittle hasn't shown a lot. You're right, he hasn't shown a lot. But that's because he hasn't had an opportunity to show a lot. Yeah, he interferes, he touches a knee, gets out of gear. But I'm not going to get rid of a horse that's trying to work through shortcomings. Now, Tavion Hanover just had a lot of them. right? Captain Doolittle touches his outside knee, a little self-conscious about it. We're going to have to keep tinkering with his shoeing. But at the end of the day, I haven't seen him be bad. And I haven't really, there's never been a time where I left the track and said, this horse is just no good. Because I've seen all sorts of horses go from interfering and rough to big and strong and doing their work well. And for those of you who say, well, if they interfere now, they're going to interfere forever. All right, no problem. We had a little horse last year. January, for a small horse, in January he wore trotting hobbles, high trotting boots behind, knee boots, shin boots, a spring bit because he was hot as a firecracker, an ear hood every time he trained. A head pole and a Murphy blind on the left. Now those of you that are horsemen out there, you might say, it's an awful lot of gear for a 2-year-old training down. You're right, it is. But that little horse that I was talking about, well, he's the fastest 2-year-old gelding of all time. Memento Mori interfered everywhere last year. He hit his knee. He hit his jack. He'd touch his shin once in a while too. He'd get on the line and run in. When he wasn't doing that, he was on both lines heavy because he was a runaway. So just remember that, right? There is nothing about this industry that is black and white, and that is what's so beautiful about this industry, is that you can have a nice horse that does interfere training down. These horses are going to put on muscle. They're going to fill out. Now, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that Captain Doolittle is going to be a fantastic horse. I don't know what he'll be, but I certainly don't have enough information to tell you he's not a good horse. And to play devil's advocate, I didn't have enough information to tell you that Cheers and Beers and Tavion Hanover was either. It was just my gut feeling. I did not believe either of those two horses were going to be stake horses for us. And that may be wrong. I just don't think we're there yet with Captain Doolittle. Give the horse a chance. He's bred well. He wants to do his work. We're going to help him do it. We're going to see what that looks like. Later on through the spring, if he's still making breaks or developed a bad attitude or a poor work ethic, well, at that time we can explore maybe moving Captain Doolittle. But for right now, I'm going to cut him some slack. And that's the one thing. You guys have to please remember, you are seeing every part of the process, right? Everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. You're going to see horses go out and look terrible some days. You're going to see them go back out and look good days after that. There's no rhyme or reason. As I say a million times, very few horses look perfect all the time. Just because they do doesn't mean they're good horses. It'll all come out. All we can do is as simple as this. Just keep it simple. Put the work in. Keep them moving forward. Keep an eye on their attitude, their work ethic, their soundness, their health, and see how it all plays out next summer. That's what we're well on our way to doing. Same as we do every year. Cherry's Girl. I like Cherry's Girl. We got our curb crowd. This is the first week where you should see it really starting to settle down. She has made breaks before. I won't hesitate to put the hobbles on her if she needs them. I'm not certain she does just yet. I like this filly a lot, and I think she's going to do some good things for us throughout the spring and hopefully into the summer of next year. This year, into next year. Degas. I like the fact that Jason likes her and that she's doing her work. I keep an eye on her because I don't know how deep she was, right? I'm concerned. I like the fact that you put a great effort in training. The problem I have is, why do you look like you're working so hard? I like that you're doing it. You can't hide work, right? They come in, they're blowing, get their ears up, but then I look at the other horses and they're blowing a little bit less. Now, why? Maybe she just needs more work. Maybe that will dissipate. Now, before you start saying, oh my God, she's no good, it's terrible. Nobody blew harder at all. Not one time last year than Gorgeous Package. Every time she trained. Just food for thought. But doing her work well. Diosa Della Danza's fine. Just rinse and repeat every single week. She's going to turn out to be a nice filly, I'm sure, as the rest of her family has. We just got to keep working with her. Don't Ask Again, same thing. Actually, the exact same thing. Keep rinse, and she's in that cycle. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Keep putting the work in, and it will show up. I think it'll show up in her attitude and her work ethic. Dune. I had a tough time trying to describe the 2-year-old video the other day. It's just such a aesthetically poor view of training, right? It's like from the Hubble telescope. and Curtis has to be up there because there's a giant mound of dirt in the middle of the training center. The last thing you want to do is scare somebody's horse, because to the left and to the right of the racetrack down the backstretch is about a gradual 10 to 12 foot drop. Now it's gradual, but it's 10 to 12 feet. So you saw exactly what I did. I'm getting the feedback. Somebody said, "Oh my God, Simply Chaotic made a break." I'm not. Just put the work in. When we start going fast, April, May, June, then we're going to start really kind of screwing down those nuts and bolts on the horses and tightening them up. Right now, just put the work in. All I want to know is, how's their attitude? How's their gait? Are they sound? Are they healthy? And do they want to do their work? Virtually, that's it right now. I haven't had any complaints from Ontario about anybody, so I'm happy. Emerald Tom has been quietly awesome the last 2 weeks. First over and just jogged for Eric. First over and just jogged for Joey the other day. I believe he may have won a set on Tuesday also, if I'm not mistaken. But looked great and has looked great. Looks to be a really, really nice colt. Go Strong Hanover is a nice colt. You know, I've been touting this guy for a while. He just continues to quietly be one of those horses. Just gets it done every time they go on the track. You look at the breeding, you look at the gait, you look at the attitude. Could be looking at a really good horse in 2025. Had to know, we're going to get that foot cleaned up. I talked to the blacksmith a bit the other day. I said, yeah, I think that window bar, I think that quarter crack and foot separation is beyond the window bar. I think we're going to have to go to an egg bar, which puts a little more stability for the wall. May even have to make sure there's no infection. So it's important when you kind of build up that wall with fiberglass, with the bottom of it, when you do, it's important. Leave the top part open a little bit. I don't think it needs any wires, so leave the top part open so it can breathe. You can dry it out. The last thing you want to do is seal any infection in that wall. It will make a gigantic mess down the road. So I think what he needs is, it's growing down. He's sound on it. Egg bar, a little bit of fiberglass for stability on the bottom part of the side of the wall and the bottom part of that wall. Leave the hairline up near the hairline open so it can breathe a little bit and let it grow down on its own. And I think that's where we're at with Head to Know. He's probably ready to start back training now. Hanger 1 was good. I actually opted to do what I don't. We've used a few more aluminum shoes this year than we're used to using. And I'm watching it very, very closely. The most important thing when you put aluminum shoes on a horse behind, watch how they wear the shoe, right? If they're just wearing the outsides right off the shoe, yeah, it may not be a good set of shoes for that horse. It may not be proper footwear. And also you may have some either growth, they might be going through growth spurts or have some soreness issues if they start wearing them right off. So we haven't had that problem with anybody, but I put them on the front of Hanger 1 just so we can manipulate his gait a little bit with the hobbles on. I've been very happy with the way he's training. His attitude is coming. He's just so competitive. He gets frustrated when he puts steps in, and that's where you see that green shoe wildness come out in him. He is manageable. I was happy with the way he trained the other day. I just want to get those last couple of wrinkles out, and I believe, and I said to our blacksmith also, I said, it's very important. I want him 50 or 51 degrees up front. 53 behind, maybe 54. I have a sneaky suspicion it's a little higher than 54 right now. Could be maybe open that heel up and lower him down a little bit. I'd like to have him down there. Just make sure when you're shoeing him, just take a second look just to make sure that that's where he's at. And I think a couple of shoeings, stop that interference, get him under control. You know, now he's a fresh gelding. The further we get into that castration period, so 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, you're going to see him start to settle, I believe. And at that point, he'll be a little more malleable, a little more flexible. And I think, listen, he's got the pedigree to be a good horse. He's got the right attitude. He's got a great competitive spirit. I think we could have a nice horse just step by step. As I said, this is a process, and you're going to have to, you guys get to watch the entire show, but you have to understand the final product is not found in March or April, right? That comes later, and it comes from the process and from the work that we're putting in right now. He's a Fearless Peter, has been great since we castrated him. He's been very good. So is the next one, Highest Honors. Very, very happy with the way Highest Honors has done his work in New York every single week. A little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. I don't know where he starts and ends. He seems like he's about this big He's just a little puffball, but he goes out and he gets his work done, and he likes to compete also. I like the horse. I love the breeding. This is obviously, you guys know, this is Kings County's brother. So we're hopeful and very excited about what he's going to become, or what he is or is not. But as of right now, he's doing his work very well. Jailbird Jog, I told you guys, she's going to stand out at some point. Amy's worried about her. She goes, she doesn't like the snake cord in her mouth, and she doesn't like the martingale. And my blunt way of answering that was simple. I don't care. If she doesn't like it, the snake cord isn't on there. It's not made of gummies. It's not there to make her happy. It's there for her to understand. Listen, Tactical Mounts wore one until whenever Megan took it off. She wore it forever. A snake cord. Very strong in the mouth. Very, very powerful. This filly's not big like Tactical Mounts, but they have that strong, powerful way about them. She is behaved. And you know what? She'll learn to wear that snake cord. Guarantee you she will. And she'll be fine for it. She said she was fine in the mile. She was perfect just in the warm-up. When you turn, she wants to go. I said, that's what it's there for. It is a teaching tool. That's what we're trying to do, is teach her to behave. And, listen, in some cases, I just talked to Scott about this last year, and my brother James, Mark, all the time. We talk, and all the horsemen I run into, we talk about bits and horses, bridles, and I get it. We have a lot of 2-year-olds who do wear snake cords in March and April. They may wear them in the summer also. I want them working. I want them sharp. I want them to compete. I don't want them docile. Right? This isn't camp. It's not band camp. This is a competitive sport, and I just want our horses to be on their toes and ready to go. But it can't always be that way, and they have to be able to understand how to race. The most important thing to me is having effective horses that are well-rounded. And there's a million ways to have that. And I learn all the time as I go along also. But for us, I think it's worked well. I had somebody the other day say, well, you guys get real good bred horses. You should win more stake races. Appreciate that. Thank you for the bluntness. We've won plenty of stake races. I don't know if you're aware of it. In a decade of being open, our doors being open, we've set 3 world records. We've won plenty of stake races. We haven't won a final yet in a while, but we have won the Next Generation twice. We haven't won the Breeders' Crown. We've been in it. We haven't won the Hamiltonian. Been in the eliminations. Every year, 10 different trainers in most cases roll up in behind the gate. And of all the hundreds of trainers and all the thousands of owners in this industry, 10 get to roll up in behind the gate in those big races. And of those 10, 1 get to win. And the other 9, no one cares. All you become is a trivia question. It'll happen. We continue to buy horses and put them in a place to win, and we will win big races just as we win little races. But keep in mind, there are some extremely smart, well-respected, good horsemen you have to race against all the time. It's no joke. Everybody wants to hit the Grand Slam, win the World Series, or be an MVP. Keep putting the work in, and you'll get there. That's the hope anyway, right? Anyway, we'll get off topic a little bit. I do that sometimes. Jailbird Jog, very nice filly. You know it, I know it. She's going to be a nice filly next year. She's bred well. I love that eye of the tiger that she has. I don't want to change it at all. Joe J. Photag, not as much of the eye of the tiger. I've seen. She's going to be a horse that I go with for quite a while now. We're going to start sparking her up. I want her coming forward. I want her doing her work properly. No more breaks. They're not going to be accepted anymore. And, they will. That's unfair to say, but I want her working hard. And the month of February into the middle of March will be a very strenuous time for her. She's got a lot of work ahead of her. And she's not the only one. There's a couple of horses on that list. Jolene Hall has been doing her work well, continues to do it well. Judy's Money a little flat the last week. I want to believe she had maybe a touch of the virus. I've been gone with her forever. Jason McGinnis, she usually goes with her. The day that we had that really muddy track was the first day she looked beatable. I don't mean it like that. Maybe that's not the word. They're all beatable. All the horses are beatable in training or in racing. But it just seemed like she won at will training, right? She did her work easy and flawless. I was the first day I saw her tired. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Leland Hanover, every time I see him on the track, I like him more, right? Yeah, I like everything about the horse. He's coming along slowly, but properly. He's getting better every time he's on the track. He hasn't quite grasped his own aggressive nature yet, and he will at some point. And he hasn't quite grasped that competitiveness yet. But you can tell it's in there, kind of simmering. It's hard to explain. But I do like the colt. I love his breeding. Lifting Legend just worked well the other day. I like him. I like the horse quite fine. I think he's going to be a nice addition to the stable this summer. Love Sensation. She's never easy on herself. She's hard on herself, but she's a nice filly, and she was trotting good the other day. Megan's Lucky Day. I don't know if I like it or not. It only took about a week and a half. She's decided she wants to do her work. We're going to do our best to help her do that. This is going to be mechanics. She's just touching herself behind. Same place all the trotters touch themselves. How are we going to help her? I thought that maybe she needed the flip-flops. I didn't want to change everything at once. We took a longer full swedge off her and put aluminums on her behind. Remember? Not a big fan of that, but we're going to go with it for now. And if I have to change the front end next, I will. And we'll continue to help her. But most importantly, she has decided that everything's cool. Before, she just wanted to act up and be bad, be rude, be ignorant. Now she's decided that it's not so bad after all. And I don't know. It's not often you see a horse change like that. Filly. Now, the colts, if you castrate them, sometimes you see a change quicker than others. But a filly, for her to almost convert over, which seemed to be almost overnight, doesn't happen very often. But I'm glad to see it, and we can now work with her, I'm sure of that. We'll make these few little changes. It won't be the last time you see Megan's Lucky Day make breaks. But as I said, this is part of the process. And she's got a clean enough gait. This shouldn't be a problem moving forward. We'll see. Millie Girl has been great from day one. Her and my name is Sweeney. I mentioned the other day, I'll start with Millie Girl. She's been great, does everything right, understands her job, and it's going to be, I suspect, a push-button process from here to qualifying day, because she does everything very, very well. My name is Sweeney. I mentioned the other day, she is now at a place where she's going to force you to buy all her shares, just so you know. She looked awesome the other day. I didn't have her in with the Pacers, but I beat the Pacers last week with her. And then the other day, she was in with there's a couple of trotters, another Pacer or two in there. And Tyler just circled the field and crushed them at will. A likable horse, and it's going to be a likable filly, I think. Neuromancer, just continue to tinker with this horse. I think the world of this horse. I really think he's going to be a nice horse for us, but we'll see. Again, we'll all know the summer together. Perfection Hanover, as Amy said, infinitely better the other day. You got a virus for 2.5, 3 weeks, and it keeps you at training. It really sets you back. It's a real impediment. And when he came back from being sick, he was just weak. He just didn't feel like the same horse. Now he's starting to get back into the swing of things. Amy said he was way, way better the other day, which I was very happy to hear. Perfect Thought has been great. As I said, when we turn her on, she's the queen of the castle. So I suspect she's going to be for the next little while. It's not going to be easy just to go and beat up on her. She just does everything so nice. Just a very, very likable filly. Pretty Eyes and Lies looked awesome the last week and a half training. I said to Amy, no more just sitting there and moving her gently. I want her worked hard next week. And she certainly did. Circled the whole field and won her training set and looked great doing it. Really, really like watching this filly train. Rico Tubbs has been a surprise for us. I just thought he was present. He was a filler until otherwise, hopefully, we would hear about it. But I never got to go with him. He always just seemed like he was in the mix doing his work. Eric's been going with him, and he looked absolutely awesome. He looked very, very good in training, and Eric always is very enamored with Rico Tubbs. So happy with what I've seen from him, and I expect good things from him. Also, riding the rodeo just looks better every time she was on the track. She beat the Pacers the other day and looked really good doing it. So I'm happy with her also. Rose Red Bobby was great the other day. Amy said, perfect now. Now I can do what I want with her. That's how it's supposed to be. Very fractious, very warm Uncle Peter, but they seem to pick it up, right? When you threaten them with a ton of work, it sometimes has to be more than a threat. Sometimes you really have to work them. I remember way back when oh so kind. Everybody told me, oh, he's making breaks, getting into gear. This is January, put the hobbles on him. He'd get a little rough in the turns, but he'd always work. And I worked him hard, January and February. By the time we get into March, he was one of our better competitors. And by the time he got to the races, he was one of our best horses. And still is winning races. Kirby sent me a photo of him in the winner's circle the other day. Just a good horse. So, we're very well versed in the Uncle Peter verse. So, not surprised that Rosa and Bobby's coming along nicely. Royal Duchess, I can't really speak to her overall ability or talent. I like her edge that she brings to the track every day. I like that she wants to compete. I like that she understands her competition, does touch a knee, will get out of gear. I tell you, she reminds me, I say this all the time, she reminds me of Coupe de Ville. Coupe de Ville was one of my favorite horses last year. Anytime you can put a horse in a class where it's supposed to win and it goes out and just gets it done. Front end, locked in, first over, 3 wide, didn't matter. She was always there. And that's all you can ask. And this filly reminds me of her. She hasn't exhibited the same technique or ability, but make no mistake, Coupe de Ville wore a go straight when she was 2 and 3. So I'm not worried about her touching a knee or anything like that. I've seen this before. I just want her to go out and be a horse. Royal Flush Dio is good. I'm going to start working with this guy. He looks like he's really filling out and growing up. Jason went with him the other day and said he was good. I meant to put the hobbles on him the other day, and we never got to it. But he did trot well and do his work well. So I'm just going to be watching this guy over the next little while. This is quietly a pretty expensive colt. This is the Walner, right? Royal Flush Dio? Yeah, the Walner colt of the Princess Dio. A lot of high hopes riding on this guy, so we'll see how he does, but he looks like he's coming forward. Simply Chaotic, I talked to you guys and said about him. He trained good, he's training good, and he'll continue to train good. Just a big, growthy, good-looking Trixton colt. You know, all the best Trixtons we had, I believe, were hobbles, so I'm just wondering when we're going to snap them on him. If he needs them, I haven't sat behind him quite a while, but I saw he made a break in the last turn the other day, so we'll see. Lots of time, not too concerned, but I'm not going to be in Ontario on Saturday. I thought I would. Ollie was invited to go tubing or skiing or something, and he asked if he could stay home and go with his friends rather than go to baseball practice. That's fine. He was there the last 2 weeks. Maybe next week we'll go over, and if I do, I'll make sure I go with the horses on Saturday. But for right now, you saw what I saw yesterday. Seemed to be doing their work well. Solidarity was great the last 2 times I went with him. Pacing better, looking better, just like what I start to see from this guy. He's starting to put it all together now. Steady Volo has been one of our better competitors. Now, when you cryo a curb, there is a time frame involved. It's not like a splint or even a quarter crack or anything like that. You cryo a curb, it stays painful for a little bit and then gets better and better and better. He's 2 weeks into cryoing now, so it should be another couple of weeks before you really see him get back to 100%. But he's been good since we got it done. Steph's Hope is getting better every week. I like what I see from her. That's our What the Hill filly, right? Yep, What the Hill filly. Sterling Hanover. Still got a little attitude. This guy he reminds me a lot of 3 Point, right? They both had that attitude at all where they'll push them to a line and they're like, I am not going 1 inch forward. This is as much as I'm going to do today, and if you don't like it, you know what? And I come on here and I'll tell you, you talk tough and say, well, I'm going to do this, and they're going to do that. But when a 1,000-pound animal starts to push back, you're best to maybe look for some middle ground, right? And that's where we're kind of at. We did that all year long. For those of you that have been with us long enough, and maybe if you don't mind doing a little homework, go back and watch 3 Point Blue Chips training videos when he was 2. Go back and listen to the videos, these videos, talking about him and how we're trying to keep him covered up and keep him interested in doing his work. And he ended up being a very, very good horse, a winner of the Matron at 2, runner-up in the Valley Victory, 4th in the Breeders' Crown Elimination. And he had bled that night. Had we gone the extra mile and put him on Lasix for the Breeders' Crown Elimination, who knows where or what he would have become. But very, very similar mindset, both by Walner. Supermind was good. He ran all over the track in Amy the other day, jumped on his foot last week, and he was feeling a little sorry for himself, and he didn't go out and train very good for Amy, and I went back out the next day. It was time to go to work. I trained him in 2:39, which, quite frankly, may be the fastest mile any of our trotters have been and he was very strong. He is a big, strong colt. I like him. I like everything about him. And as I said to Amy, when they go out the track, they're there to work, and you have to help them do that. Sometimes you got to jog them along a little bit, turn them, score them down a little bit. Just get them feeling good. Get them in a place where they're ready to go and do their work. And if they're not, what you're going to find is you're going to make breaks sometimes, and that's exactly what happened with Supermind last week. But I can tell you what, the next day he was all business. Sweet Lake has been awesome. How could she be? Very well-bred filly by Sweet Lou. She's training the way her pedigree would predict she is training. Very, very good. Tomboy strong. The only thing that keeps me from being super excited about this filly was what her brother did to me last year. He did everything right, but he always had that feeling he was just holding a little bit back. And I just assumed when we got to the track, he would break out. It was quite the opposite. He just kind of walled it off. Would not put effort, put 100% effort through, let alone 105. Always held back, always looked for a way out rather than a way in, as I say. His sister does not exhibit any of those signs. She is always looking for a fight. She's always looking to finish the fight also. She's always competitive. She's always moving forward. And she has that snap that he didn't have. He always had that acceleration, but it was more of a slow burn, more of a gradual grinder type, where she's more of a sprinter type, and I love that about her. But I'm very cautious. I love the filly. I love watching her trot, but I am cautious. Uncle Danny was good again the other day, and I haven't sat behind him yet. I will one of these days. I've seen him go, and I know how good he could be. Woodmere Bullet, we gave you guys a video, just a short video of him 2 weeks ago training on YouTube. Good looking colt. Smitty likes him. I like him. Not much more to say. And then Zena Kemp continues to do her work well. She always does. Really like this filly. Now Jason said she was getting on the right line when she little mark where she jumped on her right foot. What happens is they'll get running in. If you have a head pull on the inside, which she does, especially the younger horses, they'll get up against it and then they'll just kind of lean on it. More of a, I want to say ignorance, but I don't think it's an ignorance thing. It's just habit, I get. Not habit. I don't know how to explain it. But they'll get on it, and then it's hard to get them off it, right? So as I said to Jason, rather than let her get up on it, why don't we put a jawbreaker on her, help control her a little bit, Murphy blind inside, and a line pole on the left, more of a, some people call them floating poles, just attached to the line. We'll try her that way this week and see how she is, but lots of speed, lots of talent, and when she shows it off, she's really flashy. So that is a full take on the 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. Arrowhead Hanover trained Austin the other day. In a perfect world, we would have trained the horses Saturday. And then the ones that want to qualify next Thursday, we would make that decision on Saturday. That's not going to happen this week. It looks like there's about 4 feet of snow coming throughout Saturday, Friday night late, Friday morning early, I should say, into Friday night late into Saturday morning, all through Saturday. It's going to be a mess. I think there's already talks of shutting the track on Saturday. I don't want to come back with the horses that trained on Wednesday and come right back Friday, so it kind of screws up our schedule a little bit. I don't think, I was talking qualifiers with a number of horses yesterday. You might see Fire and Shine maybe qualify. I don't think I'm going to qualify Grand Slam Dio now because of this. Because there's no rush, quite frankly. Many of the horses that we were getting ready are not. That extra 2 days just screws up the whole schedule. His qualifiers are on Thursday. So Arrowhead was going to be a couple of weeks away anyway. I don't really know if it screws his schedule up. He'll go back Monday instead of Saturday with a good mile. And then further to that, it's going to be cold all next week. We'll probably wait for that cold snap to break before we really drop the hammer again. So we're looking at maybe a mile and a half, 220, 225 speed on Monday. And maybe a race bike towards the end of the week. But again, we're on track for them. The only ones that really kind of screws the week up for are the ones I was planning on qualifying. Melisandre, I really want to qualify her, and she is ready to go. She doesn't need that Saturday training. She can go a mile and a half easy on Monday. But do I want to qualify her in a freezing cold Thursday? I'm not sure yet. But we'll find out. Aunt Lily, again, probably back her up a little bit. She's getting closer. First part of March is fine for her. Bluebird Tuxedo Hill races tonight. We'll all see together. The thought is he's not good enough for Mohawk. Mohawk called looking for an entry to split the maiden. I thought it made all the sense in the world. He's in a 7-horse field. We'll see how he makes out tonight. But overall, likely be heading to Ohio very, very soon. All these horses, you know, even a horse like Cadeau, he won the maiden, but is he going to stay with us full time? Well, if I'm not certain he can beat the non-horse at 2, then we'll probably start to shop him around, and that question is obviously on my mind, especially when we have so many horses qualifying. I was happy with his race last week. I'm not going to blame him for last night, but we'll see. You have a horse like Bluebird Tuxedo Hill coming behind a very similar horse, so we'll see how he does over the next couple of weeks. Blue Ventura, he's in Saturday. I'd like to have an update on him. We have options with him. If he's not going to do it Mohawk, no problem. Send him over here. We'll race him either in the Meadows, or we'll race him in Northfield, put him in a condition claimer, put him in the races here. I'm not really that worried. We have tons of paths forward for Bluebird for Blue Ventura. Cadeau, we just talked about him. I was happy with his trip last week. Less happy last night, but I'm not blaming him for that. Captain Incredible trained good yesterday. Just a slow, easy 1.5 miles. We'll start him back up in a full rotation on Canco Saturday. We'll probably train him on Monday or Tuesday. Century Legion, I don't think he can document last night's race any more than I have with him. If you want to know what happened, watch any one of the videos I made over the last 24 hours and you'll see. Chicago Hall's been training good. Country Dancing's going to be in the qualified tomorrow again. Dancing by Myself trained that horse yesterday in 2-2, last half in a minute at Northfield Park. That was a huge mile. Now, take it for what it is. 8 hours later, the maiden went 2-5-2. Now, the track wasn't quite the same. Neither was the weather. But Dancing by Myself looked very strong. Tyler went by us down the backstretch with him, and he just turned his whip around and just sat on him the whole way through the wire. He said he was very strong. I'm happy he got over the track. I'm happy he got over the half. I'm happy he looked like the horse we were waiting for. Just probably couldn't get over the deep surface at Woodbine over the last 3 weeks. Very happy with what I saw with him training yesterday. Fire and Shine's ready to go. She trained good. Foxy Seaside. Eager is the word I'd use. I'm eager to see her race on Friday evening. Freedom Hill, I beat everybody training with her the other day at 1.5 miles. She was very, very strong. Almost too strong. Little strong in the face. But she was good and trotting very, very good. Gaslight Hall's training good. He's going to be a little bit behind everybody also. He's at 1.5 miles, 2:30 speed, doing his work well, but he's going to need time, and we'll give it to him. Happy to. Gorgeous Package is ready to go whenever we want. Eric came first over and sat outside me with Freedom Hill yesterday. She finished up good. Grand Old Chap trained good too. 2:33. Yeah, I know it's a drop from 50 to 33, but when he's been almost racing speed, it's not really a drop at all. I was happy with the way he did it, though. Really impressed with the way he did it. I was happy for Chap. Grand Slam Dio's ready to go pretty well. An extra week's not going to kill her anyway. I've already been in 2-3 with her on a hard track at Northfield Park. Trained her in 1.5 miles yesterday. We'll spark her back up another 1.5 miles on Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll come back in the race bike next weekend with her. Gymboree, same thing. She trained great in the race bike yesterday. She's pretty well ready to go. High Hopes races tonight at Mohawk. I'm eager to see what she's going to do. I Don't Play Nice should be schooling on Friday, I would imagine, for Harry, which means he's 2 weeks from qualifying. I'm a Trucker, 2.7 and 2.9. We're getting there with him. He trained good. I've been happy with him. Actually, I do want to get him over to the 5/8s, and Tim messaged me about a horse that he owns that might fit at Northfield. Maybe we'll just do a prisoner exchange. I'll send you Trucker, and you send me your horse for a week, because Trucker, I think, would do well on a bigger track. What do we got here? Leggy didn't train as good yesterday, which prompted Jason to say we better draw that blood again on her. She was okay, but we trained her with Dancing by Myself, who beat her up pretty good. Melisandre beat her up pretty good. She is a beaten third. Trained okay, but still exhibited a little. She was quiet, real flat. So we'll draw her blood and see how she's coming. Manhattan Money I suspect it's a little choppy the other day when I watched him go for Chris Rogers at Mohawk. I'm not there this week. I suspect he'll train at Mohawk. Maybe I'll go next week. See if we can't get him trained up and ready to go. He can't be too far away. Melisandre is awesome. 2-2 last half of a minute. That was a cold day. Both her and Dancing by Myself were very, very good training. Memento Mori trained good also. He's coming down. He'll be ready in 6 weeks or so. Mountain View Prince, he's got a ton of work coming in front of him. Made a break in the middle of the straightaway for no reason yesterday. He's got a lot of work coming over the next 2 weeks. I can assure you of that. Never Lose Felix. He'll probably race Friday and then come to Ontario. We'll send Rosetta over. I believe the truck is coming Saturday morning. Felix will be on it, coming to Ohio or then to the Meadows. And then Rosetta will be on the truck back. Actually, Capistrano, our broodmare, has to foal out in Ontario for residency or whatever. She's a full beach class, so she is going to be coming to Ontario also. I've got to find a farm for her. I was going to send her to Windback. Here's the problem I have. I've been able to acquire a breeding to Poppy Rob Hanover pretty affordably, and she has a beach glass full inside of her, so I've asked Steve and Alan, a couple of our clients, who do you prefer? Even Haley, who has her, and both Alan and Haley said Poppy Rob. I haven't heard back from Steve yet. I'll call him on that. If that's the case, it's going to be hard to get her to Windback. Hey, can you foal out my beach glass full, but I'm going to breed to somebody else's stallion? I don't know how that'll go over, so we'll see. And nothing's set in stone yet, but she has to come home this weekend, so we got to find a place for her. And she's going to be foaling out in March or April, so you just can't send her to Joe's farm. She has to go somewhere where she can foal out. Hill Nose Racing, so I suspect she'll hang out for a few weeks minimum in Ontario, I hope. Pelican Al is going to Mohawk to train tomorrow. He trained at 2.7 last week, so I suspect 2.4, 2.5 this week. Resolve Indeed has been training down good also. Happy with her. Rose Run AJ and Alexandra, I think, should be training tomorrow around 2.1 at Mohawk, and then they'll school the following week. Rosetta is racing Saturday. I suspect she'll do well, although I suspect all four last night would. The track is good. It's supposed to be cold. The track is firm like it's supposed to be. I suspect Rosetta will do good. Rosetta will do good on Saturday evening. Speed of Sound will be back jogging in 2 weeks, I believe, 2.5 weeks. She's swimming right now and walking. Westland Warrior, another horse, is pretty well ready to go. So we're going to have to forego race bike training on Saturday, opt for 1.5 miles on Monday and back, with probably 1.22 miles or 2.3 on next Friday or Saturday with him. I guess they're going to have to go Friday in a perfect world so that I can go to Ontario, I believe. And Woodmere Betcha is actually back into the barn now and back in jogging and training with Jamie Smith. 4-year-olds, Admiralty is in Ohio. He's going to race next week at Northfield Park, I believe. Arson is racing in the Open at Mohawk this week for Jonathan Drury, so good luck to him. Drebin is in on Monday. I'm going to go drive Spitfire. James is going to drive Drebin. I'm going to get a good look at everybody on Monday evening. Now, I'll be part of the way home by the time Drebin races, but I'm going to drive Spitfire just because James had that Amigo horse, Amigo Bolo, I think, in the Open, so I'm going to go Spitfire. Early Play he's supposed to be going to PEI, but I noticed that Mr. Collins had sold a share of Early Play to somebody today, which is odd. I'm going to have to give him a call about that. Irresistible Sun, a little flat yesterday. We're working on figuring out why. We'll get to the bottom of it. Memory and Imagination was fine at Northfield Park. Just a slow track. He raced good on a firmer track. I think he'll be fine. Mounds for All, I made a break on my watch. That makes it my fault. So I got to do better next week, and I think we both will. Tenacious Hanover made a break. That left ankle was bothering him a little bit. We're going to give him a week off and work on that. Time Is on My Side is in Friday, coming in good. Week off, deserves the week off. I parked with him, gave him a week off and let him refresh himself. He'll be back. Vehement, a lot of people asking. So last week, he missed the gate, made a break, and the vet put him on the 2-week list. Couldn't really say why, just did. Horse is not lame. It's never been lame. Not for us, anyway. It isn't lame right now. So the The listing I didn't really understand, but what I can tell you, it's like arguing a seatbelt fine or a speeding ticket. The cop doesn't care. You get the ticket, and that's that. And it's the same. You have recourse with a speeding ticket. You can go to court. There's no recourse for 2 weeks off by the vet, because at the end of the day, all they have to do is just say, listen, in my expert opinion, that horse needs 2 weeks off. Okay? And that's the end of it. So we're just going to have to, close the door, yell and scream to ourselves, wait the 2 weeks and put him into go. 2 weeks is next week, and that's when he'll be into go. He is going to have to train hard tomorrow because the weather is going to turn very cold, which means the track's going to get hard. It's going to get nasty. Tomorrow he has to train 2 trips. Last trip in about 2-1. That's what he has to do tomorrow. Okay, done. That was Vehement. Watch Your Mouth be sold. Watch Your Mouth. They'll be heading out. Save America will be coming back in the end of next week. Rock Shining Stars to come back in next week sometime also. Spitfire Overseas in the Open at Mohawk. I don't know. We'll see. He's in the Open at Mohawk on Monday. I'm going to drive him. Texong Soprano has been racing good. He's in to go tonight at Mohawk. Good luck to Megan and Scotty. And I'm not sure who's driving him. Mike Burke? I'm not sure who's driving him. Greatest Ending is racing this week. He's in to go 7-hole with him. JK Victory. Look good. I got to tell it. Call a spade a spade. Kane Kaufman and Jason were right. I would have to believe that he doesn't get around Miami Valley very good. Who knew? He got around Northfield just fine the other night, so he's 8-5 morning line on Sunday. Looks like money was absolutely awesome today. Another victory in the Open. I hope the Open keeps filling at the Meadows. Neptune was good last week. Jonathan Drury is back on him Saturday evening, so good luck to Jonathan. Rock Shining Star, as I said, he'll be coming back in this week from the field. 3-point Blue Chip qualified the other day. Just an easy qualifier for him. We'll train him up good again for next week, and he'll race at Northfield, I believe, for a week. I'm surprised. If you would have asked me last year, I never would have thought he'd get around a half. He gets around it very well. Trosa, James really wanted to race him once more in Ontario, and you knew what would happen. If you took the time to not send him away, kept him for one more race in Ontario, what would happen? You tell me. Go ahead and think about it. Drew the 10-hole. So we'll have to see what happens out of the 10-hole. James is going to have to put his O'Brien award-winning hands to work before Monday night. Yo Mister was awesome. Out of the blue. In the backup class, and he wins yesterday. A great job by Stacy and Brett. He looked good. Chevron's Bypass raced good last week. Let's see if she can keep that up. Delicious Stone DK is at the track tomorrow morning training. I suspect a good mile. I would like to see a good mile, and within the next 14 days be in to qualify. That would be my hope. And Patrick the Piranha is in on Sunday. Was he awesome last week? No. He was good. He was good. We're going to have him a little better. He's going to have to be a little bit better. And I'm going to have to drive him smart on Sunday. If we can do all of those things, I think it'd be just fine. So now you're up to date. 48 minutes. Well, that's what it takes. An entire rundown, A to Z, 2-year-olds to 10-year-olds. You're all caught up with everything going on in the stable right now. Take care.